Emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
Oh, that's much better.
Edit all the blather out of your videos because my time is very precious.
Oh, that's fire.
Make it less teal and more
Cerulean? Sure.
Replace your background with something more fun? The cold void of outer space.
Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
It needs more style. It needs more clips, more gifs, more. Well, I might have made it too gnarly.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's class on how to use Descript to make really killer thought leadership content for your LinkedIn. I'm Vanessa. I work here at Descript and look after the marketing team. And while we let everyone file in for a moment, I invite you to jump into the chat and say hello. Sorry, I had a bit of feedback. I invite everyone to jump into the chat, say hello, let folks know where you're beaming in from, and confess to us, how many times a day do you check LinkedIn? And as we let people come in, I'll just say thank you. Thank you to everyone in the thank you to everyone in the Lenny community for joining us today. We hope that all of you have had an opportunity to redeem your offer for a free year of Descript on our creator plan through Lenny's product bundle. It's a great opportunity to get familiar with Descript. And today we're going to talk specifically about LinkedIn, because if you are like me, you feel like LinkedIn has just become this absolute playground for authentic commentary, perspective, expertise. It's one of the few places you can go to actually find content that is robust, that is maybe a little bit nuanced even, but it's getting really noisy. It's getting really loud. And that's why we think that video is such an important piece of your approach to breaking through on LinkedIn. It's a way to really get people to pay attention to what you have to say, either about your expertise in your functional area, the company that you're building, how you approach building product. So we're excited today to be here with the CEO of Descript, Laura Burkhauser, and she is going to teach us how to use Descript to create killer LinkedIn content. Hey, Laura.
Hey, Vanessa.
How's it going?
Everyone out there wondering, yes, I am wearing this year's Bart holiday sweater. Fellow public transportation lovers. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Rainy day.
Fabulous. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, how you became the CEO here at Descript, and your perspective on LinkedIn.
Raw Macbethian ambition. Let's see. I've been at Descript. My name is Laura Burkhauser. I've been at Descript for almost 3 years now. I got here, as many of us product people do, through like a winding path that starts with not even knowing what product management is or if it's a career. I feel like we come from a few different places, and I'm one of those PMs that comes out of management consulting. I got put on a weird project one day that required me to learn how to make videos and create an online learning portal. That process of building a new product and a new business made me realize I can never go back to building slide decks for a living again. I went to business school, tried out big tech, found out I love startup, but then had to go back to big tech to learn how to get from the ICPM job or the people manager job into really the org leader job. Then I found myself at one of those moments where you just have no idea what you're going to do with your life. And so I started a podcast. Why not? And in editing that podcast, I found this software that reminded me why I got into product management in the first place, to create really transformative software, the kind of product that makes you think about yourself in a totally different way. And that's what Descript was for me. So I just knocked on the door, asked if they were hiring product people, and became the VP of product and eventually the CEO.
Fabulous. Great. Well, I have noticed that you have been posting a lot on LinkedIn lately. So maybe just to get started, why don't we share with everyone how you got started posting on LinkedIn and what was it like to sort of break into it and produce those first few posts?
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd say is if anyone here watching is like, whoa, what is Vanessa talking about that LinkedIn has become like this informative and useful platform? Like, isn't it just full of lunatics? I would say that if you don't spend a lot of time on it and you spend all of your time like kind of consuming on LinkedIn, I think it still does really feel that way. Just like, oh, what's going on here? But I think like one of the reasons to kind of start talking on LinkedIn is it instantly becomes a much more useful platform for you as soon as you start like actually posting, because then people find you and you sort of have all of these it's like what Twitter used to be, where you kind of meet people, you meet mutuals and you connect. And then over time you do business together because it's a small world. And so since I started posting, gone from thinking like LinkedIn is a place I go when I need a job or when I'm hiring, to this is a place where I can find people I might hire in 2 years. This is a place where I might find people that I sell to. This is a place where I might find a new product to try out. I might form a partnership. I might get a rare opportunity. All of those things have happened to me on LinkedIn with what I would say is like a decent following, but it's not even like I'm some kind of a viral star. Like I think that what's really great about high signal relationships is you don't need to have 150,000 of them in order for them to be really useful to you and your product, your business, your career. Oh, but you asked me how I got started with it. Yes, these were my first couple of videos, and I got started posting on LinkedIn after we created this product called Layouts. Because look, I'm a PM at heart and always will be, and I'm a big believer in dog fooding. And the product promise that we were making is like, look, layouts and smart transitions make it so stupidly easy to create pretty good looking content that anyone can start doing this on a regular basis. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's true, then I should be able to start doing it on a regular basis. Like, I should be able to regularly post video on LinkedIn without needing to like buy a bunch of equipment or like take an influencer course or like figure out how to do crazy video editing tricks. Like, and it should just work for me and be valuable to me if the product is going to do what it says it's going to do. And so I gave it a try and was pretty surprised at how quickly it worked. So this video on the left is the first video I made. The video on the right is the second video that I made. You can see they have this look of the Descript out of the box vertical layout pack that I'll be showing all of you. Yeah, I thought they came out pretty well. Got good engagement.
Awesome. And how do you pick the topics for your posts? What tells you that something is a good subject to cover on your LinkedIn?
Well, it's been a bit of an interesting journey for me, because I think, like, look, there's something inherently cringe about thinking that you have special knowledge that no one else in the world has, and like that you are destined to share it with the world. And I think that if that is kind of how you phrase it to yourself, you're never going to get to anything, because I think most of us are like pretty low ego people who have learned so much from others. But I thought about like, okay, what is something that I've done 10 times more than the average person on LinkedIn? Maybe not even the average product manager, but I just like have a lot of exposure to it. And I thought interviewing. Well, and I also thought like, why do people come to LinkedIn and what wisdom could I get? And I think like some of the places people go wrong is like, they just start posting about their product. They're like, okay, I'm on LinkedIn because I want to like drive people to my product. So like, what if I post a lot about my product? And it's like, I mean, no one cares about your product. Like no one goes to LinkedIn because they're like, wow, I really wonder what Brian is building over there, right? Like they're on LinkedIn for a different reason. They want an answer to a question, or I was like, probably a lot of them are looking for a job. So is there good content that I could provide for someone who's looking for a job where I feel like I kind of have good experience? I have something to share. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, I've interviewed a ton. I've given hundreds of interviews. and I've interviewed for dozens and dozens of roles. And so I put together a couple of just quick videos on how to get through the slog of interviewing.
Awesome. And I think you have a little framework for how to think about what makes something a postable topic.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a silly framework to put together because it's like, where do ideas come from? But I think like eventually you get into like the mind of the poster, which is like you see observations, you turn those observations into like a nice 4-word insight, and then you tell a story, and then you post. Now, there are a lot of ways to go wrong. I think like a good rule of thumb is like, don't tell a story about your personal life. This is, I think, where you get posted on LinkedIn lunatics, is when you're like, I was changing a diaper yesterday. Let me tell you what it taught me about B2B sales. Like, try to stay away from that kind of a post because it's just like, ugh. But we do, I mean, we're product people. We turn observations into insights and stories all the time. This is something that we're quite good at.
But having an idea isn't enough, right? You still have to turn that idea into a piece of content that's actually interesting and engaging. So how do you think about that transformation from idea into an asset?
You know, I honestly, like, this is where AI is hugely helpful to me. I'll tell you like what I do now at scale is we use Notion AI, and that's where like all of our Slack messages, all of my meeting notes, and all of the documents that I create live. And so what I do now is I actually ask Notion AI, like, hey, what are some ideas based on what I've been doing this week? What are some ideas for videos that I could create? And it'll be like it listens to all of my meetings. So it's sort of like, I don't know, you were sort of waxing poetic about the best way to do like a hiring loop. Like, do you want to make a video about that? And it'll just like come up with 25. And 23 of them will be very dumb. And 2 of them will be like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Then what I usually do after that is I write the script, and I write it myself. I actually don't delegate this part to AI because you can just like smell it from a mile away. And even if other people can't tell, I feel like just like I can't look myself in the eye and know that like I didn't write that script. I just read whatever ChatGPT gave me. The other way that I like to turn just like an idea though. So that's like the scripted way, is I'll get some ideas from Notion AI, and then I'll like sit down and I'll type out my script. And I like working that way. But sometimes instead it's more about riffing. And in that case, what I might do is actually turn the recorder on in Descript, have like a few different questions that I've I'll ask Underlord to like ask me 10 questions about the best way to interview a candidate or something. And then I will just look at the camera and sort of like riff as if I'm on a podcast and Underlord is my co-host. And then what's great is like Descript makes it super easy for me to clean that up and make it sound coherent after the fact. So you can kind of choose your own adventure.
Hopefully everyone here has already redeemed their offer for the annual subscription of Descript, but in case they haven't, they might not know what Underlord is. Do you want to tell them?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to make this like a commercial for Descript too much, but Underlord is our agentic co-editor. So basically, it's just like your little co-pilot within Descript, where you can say like, let's say that I do that blathering thing where I blather into the microphone for 18 minutes. Then I can just say to Underlord, like, hey, can you turn this into a 3-minute LinkedIn video? And it'll make it vertical. It'll cut it down to 3 minutes. It does a pretty good job of like editing down to the crispest parts. And you can even say like, add some layouts, add some B-roll, add studio sound, add eye contact. And it'll do all of those things so that your video editing process really goes from what I think used to be days for a lot of people into like, I've got this down into, I time box it to 60 minutes a week. Like, I've got a video idea. Can I make this like door to door, a 60-minute journey so that I post it on LinkedIn after an hour?
That's awesome. We're going to get to the demo shortly, but I would love to hear your thoughts on voice and tone. I think that you bring a very specific approach to using vulnerability and candor in your LinkedIn content. Do you want to talk about that at all with this group?
How does one put into words just like the je ne sais quoi that makes you a really good storyteller? I don't know. To be honest, I think developing voice is something that takes years, and the only way to do it is by doing it. But I think this is where I would say, especially, I can maybe see once you have defined a voice for yourself and you know what your voice sounds like, delegating some of the writing to ChatGPT. But especially if you don't quite know what your voice is, don't delegate it, because then you're just going to get the most normalized voice, and that it's not going to stand out, right? One of the thing about the influencer game, if you will, is it kind of doesn't work unless there's a level of authenticity in it. And so you need to find out, you need to channel that authenticity in order for on camera vlogging or thought leadership stuff to be interesting. I actually have this fun 2x2 of what kind of content should you create depending on are you a subject matter expert, and how much charisma do you have? And if you are a subject matter expert and you have a lot of charisma, I think you can make thought leadership content. If you are a subject matter expert and you don't have a lot of charisma, I think you want to stick to educational content where you're really just teaching a skill, and where the content is king, not really the way you deliver it. If you've got a lot of riz, but you just don't have a lot of knowledge, I think hosting a podcasting series can be really useful. Because then you just have your friends on and you chat with them and you make them sound great. And there you're churning out content without actually having to come up with the insights yourself. So that's a free framework for you. If you don't have charisma or knowledge, maybe just pass this, let this one pass you by. You can be great in other ways.
All right, let's jump into the demo. Walk us through the development process that you took to create a post that really took off on LinkedIn.
Gosh, I mean, I think I did walk through a lot of it. First I'll get ideas and I'll try to find the 2 or 3 that seem really good. I'll write a script, I'll put it into teleprompter, and I'll start doing a show you.
Script? Yeah, yeah. I want you to show.
Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah. So here is the old Descript editor. And I can upload a file that I've already recorded on my phone, or I can record. And often this is what I'll do is I'll start with recording. I'll get my camera in here. And then I like to just read off of the old teleprompter. Do I have my, I'm kind of afraid what might be in my paste board, but I can paste a whole script in there. Yeah, this, and I can start playing and start recording. And that means that I'll usually do a really good take because I have the teleprompter that helps me have good eye contact. Then I can come back into my editor. Probably don't want to edit that piece. But so then what I can do is it'll automatically bring in my file. And over here on the left, you'll see the transcript of my recorded file. Over here on the right, this is the video itself.
Hiring product managers. Oh, that's way too fast.
All right. And you can see it took me a little while to get started there.
I was talking to a CEO at a company.
Okay. Also down here, we have the timeline. Some of us are timeline editors. What I really like about our timeline is the script is here. And so, for example, I can see that this is a 2-minute pause, and I can just delete that pause if I want to. That's for my timeline friends. But I'm actually rarely in the timeline. I like to work here in the script. So what I can do is I can see wow, it really took me 3 times to get to the take that I wanted. And what I can do instead of waiting for that take to come is just highlight all of the text that I don't want and delete it. And now I get started right away.
I was talking to a CEO at a company.
So that's kind of the text-based editing thing that I think people know. But what I'll do is where I spend a lot of my time is here in AI tools. This might be where I apply eye contact. It might be where I apply studio sound. You can see it made my eyes suddenly look at the screen. I apply studio sound to make it sound like I'm using a fancy microphone, even though I'm always just recording into my laptop.
Talking to a CEO at a company that I really liked the other day, and he asked me if I was still hiring product managers.
Yeah, wow, look at that eye contact. Oh, perfect. And then this is where I can also do things like remove retakes. So this will actually find all of my retakes for me, highlight them, and just get rid of them. You can see all the moments that I said something multiple times, and we'll just remove the ignored text and it's gone. We're down to 3 minutes. That's pretty good. The other thing that I can do is I can add green screen if I want to. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, I'm remembering the features that I want to show. So then I want to start to make this look better. The first thing I'm probably going to do is put it in portrait. Make sure I'm like centered here. And then I can start to decide how I want the visual elements to change. So here I have kind of like an intro. What I can do is change the layout. And here I've selected the text that I could change the layout on. And go to our layout pack editor and pick an intro slide that I like. And here I might just say like PMs, NGMI, the future of the three-legged stool. And this is Descript's brand, but of course, folks can make their own brands fairly easily by telling us their colors and their fonts. But okay, we have
I was talking to a CEO at a company that I really liked the other day.
some pretty good stuff there. The other thing that I could do is add in a scene where I actually, like, if you look at how I did do this one, in reality, I added a little, God, okay. All right, never mind. I'm getting distracted. I'm not going to do that.
Laura, while
Okay.
it loads, you have a great question from the audience. What is
Okay.
your go-to shorten word gaps amount? This member of the community does 0.3 seconds, but it feels a little jumpy.
I usually
This company is
do
shifting to
more
a
than
model where they will
0.5 seconds,
embed
but it kind
designer.
of depends on if I'm doing it for social or not. I think like with social media, you can, the expectation is that there's almost no gaps and it's okay to have like pretty jarring jump cuts. So there I might go down to 0.3, maybe 0.2. But if I'm doing something that's a little bit longer form, I'll keep it at 0.5. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. I think it could make sense to go to the version of this that I actually posted, because you can see that I got pretty complicated. So this is like green screen. I can apply that here. And what I wanted to do was, you can see I recorded it in this room, but I wanted to give the video a little bit of like a fun feel. And this is about kind of like the future of work or the history of work. And so I kind of came up with this concept for a natural history museum of work. And so I just started playing around in AI tools in generating images. And you can see that I just like these are all the different images that I generated. To sort of go through the journey that I wanted to of the future of work. So I have like these neon signs I was playing with for NGMI mentality, or this is when I really started to enjoy myself, was when I came up with this idea of a fossil radiologist. Okay, it looks like the assets are taking a second to load, but you can kind of see it here. And kind of put those in the background. So you can generate an image. The way that you do that is you start with, this as it is. You go to AI tools. You hit green screen. It'll do a nice green screen for you. And then you can go to generate an image and generate whatever kind of image you want. So here, I wanted to do an image from a museum. So I can just like add that there, make it take up the whole screen, and send it back. So now here I am in the Louvre or in the the Natural History Museum of Old Jobs. Then I actually did my title screen as a video.
Managers. His company is shifting to a
And that's just the kind of thing that I could never do before generative media. And the way that I did that is I just like inserted a scene, which in Descript you do with a slash. And then in that scene, I can just go to AI tools, go to generate video, and kind of describe the video that I want to add in there. And I think here we can probably, I gave it an image and I said, the figures start fighting each other as the text animates in and intro music plays. And that's kind of all I had to say instead of having to, go in and animate anything. Is first I generated an image to make these 3 robots. And then I got this nice kind of intro sequence. What else would we want to
Laura, do you want to talk about captions?
Oh, yeah. In the world of generate, I'm getting into like how you do all this super complicated stuff. But what about captions? Let's go back to my simple thing because it'll be easier to show you this. But captions are over here in this lovely area. And we have a bunch of preset captions, which we're about to update to be a little bit
the people whose
nicer.
jobs are usefulness.
And so that's usually how I add captions, is I'll pick one. But then what's great is we have endless ways to, to customize those. So I can make this much bigger. I can change all of the colors to be whatever I want. I can change the font, and I can even do like, do I want it to be karaoke? Do I want it to be kind of classic? Do I want it to be super clean and basic? And, just make the captions be exactly what I want. And then I can use our brand color to make sure it's that nice blurple, because that tells you that, this is an AI company.
And it's used in the online discourse surrounding AI advances to describe groups of people whose...
Yeah. So that's how you do captions.
And then did you add any background music to this one? I honestly can't remember.
I added a little background music via my generations, but that's something that I'll do if I don't think it'll be too distracting. There's a few ways to do that. Over here in media is the best way. I go to media. This is where we have our own video libraries where, you can use all of these videos for free, no copyright. You have GIFs and images, and then you can go to audio. And we have all kinds of music and sound effects. So here I was going for a museum kind of vibe. I don't know if museum would actually give us anything. Yeah, that's not bad. That's probably wrong. Okay, let's do that one. So I can just drag that to wherever I want the music to start. Probably here. And it'll bring that music in. If I want to, I can kind of adjust here in the timeline. But usually, like I said, I try to stay out of the timeline. And you can see it here.
Teams. Now, look, I actually don't want to defend the humble product manager.
So that's how I'd add background music. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we have a great question from Harold, so I want to bring that one up. Is it more effective on LinkedIn to post vertical or horizontal video for thought leadership content? And does the algorithm currently show a preference?
I think it's always better to post vertical. Most people who are using this stuff are on their phones. I would try not to kind of algo jack too much. Honestly, like people at LinkedIn are super against that and are always cracking down on it. But I think that vertical looks really nice on phones, and that's where most of the action is happening across all social. You'd think like LinkedIn, people are at work, maybe it's desktop, but no, it's always mobile. Mobile app is what you want to optimize for.
Awesome. Thanks for walking us through this workflow. I wanted to ask you a little bit about how you stay sane, keeping up with the throughput demands of that voracious algo that we were just talking about. So, how do you do this without burning out or allowing it to become a huge time suck?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where like I was going through that in kind of the most painful and slow way possible, where, you're making a million small choices. But I think like one of the things that I like to use is just the quick design button that honestly does all of the layouts automatically and makes its own decisions for B-roll. And then I can go through and change them to be the ones that I want, to be the one that I want. So that's what I'll do if I'm not trying to like dog food a feature and I'm really trying to keep to that 60-minute time box. But I think like what you want to do is find an hour a week that you will post a video, try to get your workflow down to an hour, be a bit ruthless about it, and you'll get better over time. But the other, like the head game part of it is like that it has to be fun for you. Like it has to be amusing. Either like some part of it has to be something that you actually think is like fun and fulfilling. And actually for me a lot, like I obviously love video editing. So spending time in Descript is the part that I really like. For other people, it will be the storytelling, and for other people, it will be the community. But if you're not kind of making yourself laugh or smile as you do this stuff, you're just not gonna, you're not gonna keep it up. So I'd say like time box it to a week, do it every week at the same week or at the same, on the same day at the same time. Mine is like Friday mornings, and then I post Monday morning. I'll say like, don't post on a Friday afternoon. So I make my video, I give myself 60 minutes every Friday morning. I make my video, I post it Monday at like 10 a.m. Pacific time. And then I have like all week to sort of collect how it's doing and understand what it's doing. The other like LinkedIn tip I'd give you is like, make sure you're not just posting and ghosting. Like you're going to want to post, you're going to want to like be really active in your own comments. And then you're also going to want to start to find those mutuals and comment on their posts. Again, not in like a post like boosting conspiracy, but just like in a like what you show the algorithm or whatever is like, I'm a citizen here. I'm not just like using this as my own personal billboard. I'm a citizen. I like to engage in conversation. I talk to the people who talk to me. And that's the kind of stuff that gets you visibility on that platform.
Yeah. And so as you're being entertaining both to yourself and to your followers, as you're engaging with the people that you're connected to, we have to think about how to balance that with the sort of dreaded words of thought leadership, which I feel like does not have a great connotation at this point. When you think about thought leadership content that's actually good, are there any principles that make it worth engaging with for your followers?
I mean, I think like the biggest principle that I would give is like, who is your purpose? Like who is your audience and what is your purpose? And getting real clarity on purpose and audience is always going to make your communication better. It'll take you a while to find your niche, right? And so my second principle is like experiment frequently on that purpose and audience, because you might start thinking like, great, I'm going to create content for product managers and talk to them about like product design, like how you work really well with designers. And then you might find that like, actually what really took off was this template you made about this one-on-one doc with designers. And so then you become like the meetings materials like guru, and you want to kind of like be able to like ride that wave towards kind of whatever is resonating that you think you can authentically kind of create content around. So you want to have a good hypothesis for your purpose and audience, and then you want to look at data and iterate based on what you're seeing in the market, which, surprise, you're a product manager, you do this all the time, right? You need to be experimental, you need to be open. Yeah.
Harold's asking, how long should a LinkedIn video be to maximize retention and view through, especially for expert insights?
It really depends what you're trying to get, right? Like why are you posting this? And I think that it could, like, if it is just to get your name out there and for exposure, I think you're going to want it to be short and closer to like how you would gain traction in other kind of channels. Make it short and make it kind of funny and entertaining. But if you actually want to start to build a reputation for yourself as being an expert in a certain thing, honestly, the way that I would handle that is I would probably go with something like newsletter, like LinkedIn newsletter, with a video on top, and then like a longer text explanation of, that really shows the meat, so that you're pairing kind of like a shorter, like 60, 90-second video with then like a multi-paragraph piece of content. But then so that's if you're trying to build thought leadership. What some people are using LinkedIn for is to get you to come to your product, right? So like you're a founder and you're like, my job is to just get people to know the name of my product and come to our website. And so it's just like, depending on what you're actually trying to get, what your purpose is, you're going to want to create different kind of content that kind of draws the audience to do different things.
And so for that second type of content that you mentioned about like name ID and just pure awareness, what are your thoughts about being provocative? Is that something that you've played with? Do you think that's a good idea? Too risky?
I think that like generally, I think inflammatory content, it will eventually, like, you will lose credibility that way. I mean, maybe some people pull it off, but I think like most of us don't want to be full-time influencers, right? Most of us want to be product people doing good product work. And we have some portion of what we're doing, which is like grabbing the mic, being thought of as someone with good opinions on stuff. And so like there, if you're too inflammatory, you run the risk of like someone thinking like, oh, this person's interesting, but I would never want to work with them. Like, I don't want to go to design review and have this person sitting across from me. So you kind of need to like be the kind of colleague on LinkedIn or the kind of leader on LinkedIn that people would actually want to work with or work for. So I'd be careful walking the line of just like provoking people. Like, few people want to work with like the shallow provocateur or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is going to be our last question, but if anyone else tuning in wants to post in the chat, let her rip. Laura, if someone is starting from zero or no strategy and they want to just take a small action today, right now, this week, what is the first step you would have them take so that they can begin to create great content for LinkedIn?
I would pick a topic, any topic. And my guess is, especially for people that are more senior, one of my mentors once told me, like, as you get more and more senior, your job becomes walking into different rooms and saying the same three things. So I told you that the way that I find out my same three things I've been saying all week is I go to Notion AI. But reflect on like, what are the three things that I've just been saying over and over again in meetings this week? And can I turn this into a video? And can I post this video on LinkedIn or on like my internal, intranet channel or something like that? And then like, I think you can get to a video, like really time box it. But here's like where the challenge is probably going to hit you the most. Can you challenge yourself to not delete that video and to make another one next week? Because I think like where most people stumble isn't in making the first video. Most people can make their first video, especially when you have great tools like Descript or other kind of like social video creators, creation tools. But where most people stumble is being, sorry, I think my camera went off. But where most people stumble is being brave enough to come back and do it again next week, even if no one showed up to the first show. And it's only by doing that week after week and say like, I'm going to do this for 3 months. I'm going to do this for 3 months. And if you post one video a week for 3 months and it hasn't led to a tangible, measurable result for you, come contact me and I'll give you 3 months of your subscription back. Because like, I really think that this isn't about like wow, I made a video and immediately overnight, like my whole life changed. But it's like I built a habit and now I have opportunities I didn't have 3 months ago. And I feel pretty confident that every person here would be able to say that after a few months.
Hear, hear. Thanks, Laura. So in closing, I want to remind everyone in Lenny's community to redeem your offer from Lenny's product bundle. You have a free year of Descript in the creator plan. And if you want to learn more after today about how to get the most out of your subscription, you can head over to our YouTube channel. We have lots of great learning resources. We also have a fabulous community. So join our community on Discord or our group on Facebook. And when you're there, let us know if you have ideas for other webinars that you would like to attend in the future. We're here. We're ready to talk. We're ready to share our workflow. So if there's something that you would like to hear from our team, from other customers who are using it, let us know what those topics are, and we'll get it set up. So with that, thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Laura, and happy posting.
Yeah. Tag me in your videos.